Alright, today we are going to start solving inequalities, which will be very similar to solving equations. So an inequality is like an equation, but instead of an equal sign, it has one of these symbols. Less than or equal to, greater than, and greater than or equal to. So what do inequalities mean? Well, it's a mathematical sentence that uses one of the inequality symbols to state the relationship between the two quantities. So what this means is one side does not equal the other, but is being compared to the other in such a way that we will tell whether it's greater than, less than, greater than equal to, or less than and equal to. To graph them, which is very important, we're going to graph an inequality on a number line using an open or a closed circle to represent the number. And there's a difference between this open and closed circle. For less than and greater than, we would graph it with an open circle, meaning that the number is not part of the solution. But if it is less than or equal to, or greater than and equal to, we will graph it with a closed circle, meaning that that number is included or equal to the solution. So this is what I want you to copy down. So it defines the symbol, and more importantly, it gives some words that are used to describe that. So when we start working with our word problems, we can then know what symbol we need to use. So if something is less than, we say that it is under this amount, or it's fewer than this, or we simply use the words less than. And again, the graph has an open circle. Greater than can be stated as greater than, more than, over, exceeding, things like that. Less than or equal to, at most, has a maximum value of, is not greater than. So if it's not greater than, that means it is less than or equal to. Does not exceed or is not more than. Closed circle to graph less than or equal to. And for greater than or equal to, we could say it's at least, or not less than, or not under, or it has a maximum value. And again, we use the closed circle. So take a few minutes to copy this down so that you have the meaning, the words, and the way that we graph it. If I look at this, I would read this as x is less than 5. It means that whatever value x has, it must be less than 5. Try to name 10 numbers that are less than 5. You can write them down on your paper if you want. So the numbers less than 5 are to the left of 5 on the number line. So we would draw a number line or add numbers to a number line if it was given. We would locate the 5. Since it is the less than symbol, it would get an open circle because 5 is not part of the solution. Is 5 less than 5? That doesn't make sense. But 4.9 is less than 5, right? So all the numbers to the left of 5 would be included in the solution, so we draw a line to represent those values. So if you said 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, etc., you're right. And then all of the decimals in between, since it's a solid line. So those are integers, but all the numbers in between the integers, like the decimals and fractions and so forth. The number 5 would not be a correct answer, though, because 5 is not less than 5. Let's look at another one. X is greater than or equal to -2. Whatever value represents x must be greater than or equal to the -2. So name 10 numbers that are greater than or equal to -2. Numbers greater than -2 are to the right of -2 on the number line. So you find -2. If you have to plot between numbers or find it, get it as close as you can and label it if it's not already a labeled number. I'll probably give you a blank number line and let you fill in the numbers and the integers so that you can get the actual value or close to it. we would use a solid or closed circle and point to all the numbers to the right of -2. So these are all right, all these numbers, and all the numbers in between. The number -2 would also be a correct answer because of the phrase or equal to, and that's why it's a closed circle, to show that it's contained as part of the solution. So solving an inequality, you don't have to write down the steps, but I want you to know that you're going to follow the same rules and steps that we use to solve an equation. We're going to always undo addition, subtraction first, then multiplication, but that's a couple days down the road when we start doing the multi-step. Remember, what is done to one side of an inequality must be done to the other side, and the goal is to get the variable by itself, just like solving equations. So in a way, you can do what you've done in learning how to, or solving these, and just keep in mind that there is no equal sign. It's an inequality symbol, and you have to use the correct one. So let's solve one. W plus 5 is less than 8. So again, we'll treat the inequality symbol as if it were an equal sign. And how do we undo adding 5? We subtract 5 on both sides. Okay, because that goes to 0. Keep the symbol. So W is less than 8 minus 5, which is 3. And then we want to graph it. So find 3 on the number line. It's an open symbol because of the open circle because of the symbol, and all the numbers that point left would be a solution. So you have to have your work, your solution, which is the W less than 3, and the graph for your work to be complete in solving inequalities. Let's try some more. Okay. 8 plus r is greater than or equal to -2. Again, we know that to get r by itself, and the good news is today it's just one step addition subtraction, we'll subtract 8 on both sides. Okay? -2 plus -8 is -10, and we write the inequality symbol greater than or equal to, and then we graph it. Now remember, because this is a greater than or equal to symbol, -10 is included, which gives us a solid circle at -10. And then the arrow points to the right. Some of you may notice that when the variable is on the left-hand side of the symbol, this only works when the variable is on the left-hand side of the symbol, like right here, the inequality symbol almost looks like a arrowhead pointing in the same way that the line points, right? So the line points to the right as greater than, that symbol is an arrowhead. But if for whatever reason, because you know this happens, we see things written like this, and the variable's on the right hand side, notice how I flipped the symbol between these two. Because I reversed the way the equation was written, and so I reversed the symbol so it would have the same meaning, because when we solve it and we get -10 is less than or equal to r, look at what r is looking at. R sees the open side of the inequality symbol just like it does here. It sees the open side. So when written like this, it says r is greater than this. Here, -10 is less than or equal to, which makes sense because if it's the least amount, it would be in the farthest left position. So hopefully we don't trip you up too much having the variables on the wrong side, but understand you have to see what the variable sees in order to graph it correctly. Okay, so let's solve this one. Okay, we want to undo addition. And I treat it just the same way. Bring down the symbol. -4 minus 3 is -7. Sometimes you'll be asked to draw your own graph. Other times I'll give you the number line without the numbers. And if you put just 2 or 3 integers on the graph, I like to put the solution in the middle. And then I can show that I understand that as I go to the right, the absolute value gets smaller, approaching 0, and as I go to the left, it gets larger away from 0. So since this is just a greater than symbol, I use an open circle and I point it to the right for my solution. Here's another one. So I want to add 4 to both sides. Bring down the symbol. 2 plus 4 is 6. Graph on a number line. And I'm on the positive side. The absolute value gets larger the farther right I go. And again, open circle, and it points to the left because it is less than. Okay? All right. We're going to write and solve an inequality and then graph the solution. So here's where we have to pay really close attention to setting up the inequality, and we're going to set it up just like we would an equation, but we'll have to use the correct symbol. So to play on a football team, a 7th grader must weigh no more than 110 pounds. Your neighbor is in 7th grade and weighs 94 pounds. Write and solve an inequality that represents how much weight your neighbor can gain and still meet the requirement. So again, when you start solving these, you might be thinking, oh, I know what to do. I'll just subtract 94 from 110. That's the solution. All right, so if the solution is subtraction, remember the variable has to be with another number, not by itself. We have to have 94 plus the amount of weight your neighbor can gain. Then we need a symbol, right, that means no more than 110. You can look back in your notes at the table you filled out. Which one of those meant no more than 110? Okay, I hope you've been able to locate that it was the less than or equal than symbol. So 94 plus x is less than or equal to 110. It could be equal to 110, but not more than 110. So it has to remain less than or equal to, but 110 is the top amount. So we can solve this by subtracting 94 on both sides. Bring down your symbol or your variable. X is less than or equal to 16, and make sure you have a unit. To graph it, I didn't leave myself much room, did I? So we'll make a itty bitty number line right over here. So we'll put 16 in the middle and 15 right there. Since it is less than or equal to, it is a solid circle at the 16, and it goes left, and it shows all the possible amounts that your neighbor can gain and still meet the requirement because he would not exceed 110 pounds. Okay, final example. These are a little tricky. The first one over here on the left. It says the length is greater than the width. So we'll look at the longer side as the length and this as the width. So this expression is greater than this. So we write that down. And we have a one-step inequality. Add 4 to both sides, and x will be greater than 12. Okay? On the right, the perimeter is less than or equal to 50 inches. So when we do perimeter, we're adding up all the sides. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things to add up, and it's going to be less than or equal to 50. So we might have to add some like terms. So let's start with this expression, x plus 4, and then we have plus 8, plus 8, plus, and then we have 3 5s, and that is, oh, silly me, I just said let's not do that, is less than or equal to 50 inches. So look at all these like terms that we have, all these constants, with a lot of addition going on. So we can simplify it to be x plus, and then we have 4 plus 8 is 12, plus 8 is 20, plus 5, and plus 5. So 20 plus 15 is 35 is less than or equal to 50. We could subtract 35 from both sides, and we would get x is less than or equal to 15, so that the perimeter would be less than or equal to 50 inches.